Hello Crafty friend, happy June! I hope you're doing so well. I am so excited to show you today's stitch die of the month, which is called the Stitched Shell Card Front. I had to say that slowly because I got a little tongue-tied last time I said it and it ended up just being da-da-da-da-da. So let's just jump right into it. On today's video, I am going to show you a little bit more of how I am stitching. I stitched 6 of the 7 seashells that I'm going to use on this card. I left this one blank because I'm going to show you how to do that on camera here. If you are an avid stitcher and know exactly what you're doing, you can go ahead and skip ahead, but I thought maybe for those who are not aware of how to stitch, I'll show you how. So this is DMC thread. I prefer it a little bit better than, I'll just be honest, a lot better than the off-brand, just because it's more silky and it doesn't get tangled as much. The thread comes 6 strands and I like to use 3 strands when I stitch. So I just separate out 3 on this side, 3 on this side, and then I just gently pull apart. It works really well to have the tail hang down so it can turn and twirl freely without getting tangled. And you just gently pull apart. And ta-da, you have 2 threads to use. I'll put one to the side and use one with this shell. Speaking of needles, I haven't found one perfect brand or anything of needles, but this one works pretty good. It's just a regular needle. It has a very slim eye of the needle, just so I can get thread through and it doesn't damage any of the paper when I am stitching. Now, as you can see on this shell, you can see all sorts of texture and dimension on this because I die cut out this piece with paper that I designed. So I just had some white cardstock and I put down some Distress Oxide. I used Vintage Photo, and then I took some water and splashed it up so you can see it has like a little bit of color differentiation on there. Nothing too crazy, just to give the shell a little bit of interest. And then the other 2 shells that I'm using today, I used a pearlized cream paper. Isn't that pretty? Anyway, to start stitching, I am going to always go up through the outside, which is all of the outside pieces here. And then I'm going to take my needle going down through the center one every time. So just to start, I'm going to start with this first hole on the outside coming up, and I'm going to pull until my tail is, I don't know, maybe about that long. And then I'll just hold that tail with my other finger and thumb on this hand like this. Then my needle is on the front. Go down through the center and pull tight, but not too tight so it rips, but not too tight so it has a big loop. Then again, up through the outside, down through the center. And as you go, you can always flip it over just to make sure that nothing's making any knots in the back or getting anything mixed up. But you can already tell that that is holding my tail in place. So that's really perfect. And if you're not into having your tail being hidden like that, you can go ahead and take a piece of tape and just tape it down, and then you don't have to worry about holding it or hiding it at all. Anyway, so you just repeat that process going all the way around, and these shells are super quick to make. I think if I wasn't chatting and talking, this would maybe take about maybe a minute and a half to stitch all together if I was just going to town and stitching. These are perfect. Stitching is perfect to take on the go. I know summertime there's a lot of trips or vacations or road trips. You can certainly take stitching on an airplane. You can take it on a road trip. Personally, I get car sick, so if I were going to stitch like I did last summer, I would need to take a Dramamine pill, but you know, it's worth it. So I don't know. It's a great little hobby, and the results on cards are just perfect. So I love it. Now, this stitch die, I am going to make 2 different videos. So I have this video today, and then I'm going to release another one on the 6th of this month. So that's the day to sign up for this die set if you are not already a stitching subscriber. So stay tuned for some more stitching. Now I'm done with this shell. I'm going to take my needle and just fish it through really anywhere on the back and just pull. Maybe do that 2 or 3 times. It doesn't really matter. It's stuck and it's not going anywhere. Then I'll take my little scissors and just give that a snip, and then I'll snip my original tail just so it's not coming off the side. And just like that, I have a stitched shell. So there you have it. Little stitching moment. And then I do like to keep a little bit of the thread on my needle just so I am less likely to lose the needle either on the floor or in my in my piles in my craft room. So that's that. So if you have any questions though about stitching, please let me know in the comments. I would love to help answer any of those questions for you. Now, yes, you can see on the back I do have some foiling because I am reusing a piece of foiling that I used from last month's, but it didn't quite foil how I wanted, and I thought that this other side is perfectly good still, so why throw it away? Now, before I cover up this beautiful embossed piece of paper, you can see that it has some little splashes on it. I use the regular embossing folder for June called Splish Splash, just to give a little bit of texture and dimension to the background. The other one is called Scattered Shells, and that is the 3D embossing folder, which is just so cool as well, and I love both of them. They're definitely different. The shell one is definitely 3D. It has a lot of dimension and it has bigger designs, if you will, and then the splash one is just a regular 2-dimensional one. Definitely has some texture though, so it works out really well for crafting with this month's clubs because they're all kind of under the water, oceany themed, which is just such a fun theme for June. Even though I live nowhere near the ocean, I just think it is beautiful. Alrighty, now I have this frame and then I have this frame here. This piece I used the same kind of pearlized paper to make the shells here. So that kind of coordinates together. I'm just going to glue that down. No dimension on this piece yet. I'm going to put some dimension on the other parts of the card, so it'll all work out. Oh, apparently there's a right and a wrong side for this little square. Interesting. So it fits just a little bit better going that way than it did the other direction. Good to know. Alrighty, now I have my whale, and yes, he is just so cute. If you have watched my video from, oh, that's not even coming out yet. So I will have more videos with this whale coming out this week, I guess. I have 4 cards with the glimmer that I made and the whales on a couple of those, and then I did a whole video with this whale, and this whale's from the set Whale in a Jar, right? Whale in a jar? Whale in a bottle. And I did a whole video with that whale as well, so it's just a really sweet little die, and I just made a whole bunch of whales, so I'm just really getting the bang for the buck from this die because I want to use it as much as I can. Now the seaweed is from the small die of the month, which is the octopus. So if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and check it out. I will have a whole video on my channel with the octopus as well. It's just so fun because it's an interactive die, and I love interactive dies, and I think the octopus is so adorable, and I actually just filmed that one right before I made this video, and there's like a little surprise in that video with the choice of embellishments I used. So go ahead and subscribe to my channel so you can come back and see that video. And let's see, the small die of the month will be coming on my channel on June 4th, which is this Sunday. So be excited. Okay, now that my seaweed is all set, I am going to put my whale right about here. Yes, he's going to cover up some seaweed, but I don't want him to have his tail go on any of the stitched pieces. Maybe I'll put him like that. That's all right. He's going to come off the frame anyway. Okay, I need some foam to pop up my whale. Now this is foam left over from this month's card kit that just happens to be on my desk, so let's use it up. Anyway, if you haven't checked out this month's card kit, it's a really adorable one. It is not ocean themed, so it's the only thing from the collections this month that isn't ocean themed, but it's really sweet. It has a whole bunch of just darling little die cuts and beautiful pattern papers, and everything coordinates as usual. So if you are a card kit person, I think you'll love this one as well. And it's called A Little Hello, which is just so sweet, like I said. All right, now this foam has really given me all of its use because I am just cutting it up like a crazy lady here, and I've used all of the squares, so I'm now just using the extra pieces because it's foam and it all lifts up. Even if it's not made into a perfect squares, it's gonna get used. And if you watch the large die of the month video that's coming up this week, you'll see that I had to get creative with my dimension, and I used something that I have never used before to give my bottle for the whale in a bottle dimension. Partially because it was a necessity, so I guess I was a little desperate, so we used something a little new. So stay tuned for that video so you can see what in the world this crazy crafter is up to. Weird things. Okay, so there's that, and then let's put on the shells. Now the shells are different sizes, like you can see here. The large one is going to go in the center, and then it's going to be flanked by the two pearly ones, and then the two small brown ones, and then two small brown ones on the bottom. Now for gluing on stitch pieces, I always use liquid glue just because it is just kind of the right thing to catch all of those little fibers on the thread. It just works very well. And it also gives me a chance to kind of give it a wiggle to see if everything is in place. Now, if you are a stitcher and you love stitching on cards just like me, hi, hello, welcome to this crazy channel where I have some stitching videos. So if you are interested in watching some of those videos, check out my channel. I have a whole playlist called Stitching on Cards, and there you will find all sorts of inspiration with mostly Spellbinder stitched dies. So check those out. I usually try to do monthly stitch card updates where I go back in my stash and use some of the stitching dies that I have in my collection already and stitch with some older dies that I have that are still available for purchase, of course, and just kind of shop my stash because I think that is a very important part of card making and crafting in general, is using what you have and just enjoying the whole process. Now for embellishments, I have to add some like pearl or something on this card because it's kind of like the under the sea. So as you can tell, these fashion taupe ones are very well loved, and I think I'm going to use them on this card because to me the shells and pearls, it just kind of works. So I'm going for it. I'm just going to grab my tool-in-one and use the pokey tool for the tool-in-one, and I still have my little shovel on the other end. Alright, I'm going to use some of these bigger ones because they're kind of all that I have left besides a few down here. But I think the large size of them is appropriate for this card because they're big pearls on the shells. It works. You can see. If I had a all-time favorite stitching die, I would say that it is the Stitched Floral Flip Frame. Again, I have to say that one slowly because I would get tongue-tied with that. But it is gorgeous, and I am going to use that again on this month, June's Stitch Card Update, which is coming in a couple weeks here. Let's see, probably on the 13th, if I can get my act together and I am not stuck in a courtroom because I have jury duty starting June 1st, which is today, the day that this video is going out. So you might be watching this and I might be in a courtroom. We'll see. Definitely not my normal place. I'm usually either in my craft room or in my kindergarten classroom, but I digress. Now, this card needs a sentiment to me. This card is just kind of needing something here. So I'm going to grab the stamp and we're going to have to just go for it. The stamp set of this month and pick a sentiment that would work with this one. I think I need to stamp it on something and then add it on. I am just not feeling brave enough to stamp directly onto this almost finished project. I don't know. Sometimes I'm feeling crazy like that. Not today. So let's just I'm going to grab some white scrap and maybe a brown scrap and we'll see what I can do. I kind of like the one that says I'll cross the ocean for you because I'm a romantic kind of gal and I think that is just really sweet. So we're going to go with that one. I'm going to use my VersaFine Onyx black ink. I'll show you if you need to see that. I just like using black ink when I am using stamp sentiments and then adding clear embossing powder with it. It just, to me, looks really good and it works out for me, so I just keep using it over and over. Sorry, I just bumped the camera with my cheek. Just trying to get everything straight. Phew, it is straight. Now it's time for some clear embossing powder. I just keep it in this little container and it just works really well. I just dumped in clear embossing powder from Spellbinders and ta-da! Look how easy that, ta-da! Look how easy that was to add a little bit of embossing powder. Now my heat gun is behind me, so I'm going to do that off camera, but I'll show you the finished result in just a minute. And just like that, I have a shiny sentiment that is nice and tidy and clean. I'm just going to let it cool off for just a second here before I chop it up and get ready for some matting. Okay, I'm putting it on the brown. We're just going to make that call. And I'm going to give it just a really thin matte. Just barely brown. I do love this little mini trimmer for occasions like this because I can just snip off a tiny, tiny bit and not worry about things getting wrecked. Oh, that's really fine. It's very, very skinny, just a teeny bit. A little more. Guess always err on the side of caution. You can always snip off more, but you can't really put more back on after you cut. Perfect. Oh, I love the way that looks. Okay, let's grab some. Do I want to pop it up? No. I'm going to have it nest in there. No dimension needed. Pardon the glue blob. Don't we all have them? All right, put that right about here. Oh, that is just so cute. Oh, I love it. Okay, let me know what you think of this card in the comments. I just adore it, so hopefully you like it too. Maybe I'm a nut. I don't know. Anyway, let me know if you are going to stitch with this one. What color scheme are you going for? Maybe you'll do some bright corals. I don't know. I stuck with some neutrals and blues for this one, but we'll see. The next time I use this stitch die, I'm going to pull out the stamp, the clear stamp and die that goes with this month's clubs. So you can go ahead and subscribe and come back in a few more days and you'll be able to see that. Anyway, happy June. Hope you're having a great day and happy crafting. Goodbye.